This is the Reds POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Cincinnati Reds. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Good evening, Reds fans, and welcome to another installment of the POSTCAST, brought to you by Locked On Reds and the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm Tim Daniel. I'm a lifelong Cincinnati Reds fan. I've been podcasting about the Reds for 5 years at publications such as Late Night Reds and The Riverfront. And I want to thank you all for spending some time with me this evening as we discuss the Reds losing their third straight game, scoring just one run tonight to the Miami Marlins at home at GBP. Yeah, it's really great. If you were just checking me out for the first time, please be sure to hit that notification button so you can not only get my show after each and every Reds game, if you still want to for some reason, but you can also get Jeff and Steve Monday through Friday on Locked On Reds. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. You're going to be monarchmoney.com/LockedOnMLB and get 50% off your first year. On tonight's show, the offense still stinks. We're going to talk about that. The worst defensive play of the year, and maybe multiple years before that, we're going to just dive into that as well. And I need to figure out why Lyon Richardson is getting outings in these close situations where the game's on the line. I don't know. I'm bringing my good friend from the Riverfront, Seth Sheener, on with me today. He's going to join me. We're going to try to talk through this together, everybody.
This is what you'll be talking about.
Hi, Seth.
Hey, thanks for having me, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, for those who don't know, Seth and I are former partners from my time at the Riverfront. Seth is now running the Riverfront. You can check him out every Friday on the Riverfront Reds show on their feed, and probably popping in on my former show, Late Night Reds, quite a bit as well. But Seth is also, like me, unfortunately, a lifelong Reds fan. And so I had to bring Seth on because I've had everyone from the Riverfront on now but him on the POSTCAST. So we had to bring him on now. And Seth, we're going to start with no offense. Not like no offense, but literally no offense again today. And we're now 3 games in a row where the Cincinnati Reds have scored 1 run. In those 3 games, they have 12 hits combined. 8 of those came in 1 game, mind you. And I was kind of trying to figure out, like, how bad has this gotten? Because I knew it wasn't going very well. I put some numbers together, and it doesn't sound good as I put this together, Seth. TJ Friedl, 5 for his last 26. Matt McLain, 5 for his last 28. Austin Hayes, 6 for his last 27. Ellie De La Cruz, 6 for his last 28. Gavin Lux, 5 for his last 21. And I'm trying to figure out what happened between Friday, beautiful day, 4th of July afternoon game. They put a bunch of runs up to get a lot of hits. And then the next 3 days, you can sell me on Zach Wheeler, being Zach Wheeler. But a guy by the name of Junk that I never heard of today junked the Reds out of their own home stadium.
Yeah, you can't make Jansen Junk look like Zach Wheeler. And maybe even worse, you gave more extended numbers on McLain. McLain's 0 for his last 18. So I don't understand it either. I think, you know what the old rule is, especially when you're a younger athlete of sorts and you're on a team, and it's like, don't let that team beat you twice. Like, you just got beaten by a team and then you have to turn around and play another team. Well, don't let and I just almost feel like Zach Wheeler just beat them twice is what it feels like.
Right. And I don't understand. And, you know, like, it's not all bad. Will Benson, 6 for his last 19. He's been really good of late. Spencer Steer's been really good of late, though he's had 2 very, very frustrating at-bats with runners in scoring position between Saturday and today that have really cost the Reds runs and opportunities, especially in games like this where they're losing by 3-4 runs. They're going to be competitive in a matchup. But it just feels like, and I get it, hitting comes and goes, especially with a young team. But this is a team where, you know, we've complained all year about runners in scoring position. That hasn't even been a thing the last few days. They were 0 for 2 today and left 3 guys on base. Like, yeah, you want them to come through, obviously, but that's not much. That's very little, actually.
Yeah, and Austin Hayes, you know, he hit the ball hard a time or two tonight, but I saw the fact that, like, he came back a week and a half ago now, and I just wonder if his sea legs are quite under him. I thought the day he came back, now he did rip a double that Friday night against the Padres.
Yeah.
But I even had a conversation. I was at the game with the guy across the aisle, and I said, do you think that they rushed him a little bit because of the other injuries and kind of, well, let's make a move? I'm not sure he has his sea legs under him yet. And, Marte and CES just aren't, they're either they're not getting enough playing time individually, each of them, or they're just neither of them in a place where they're ready to contribute. I don't know which. I
didn't mention Marte in that long list of people I went through because he is at least drawing walks. I can at least give him that. He's 4 for his last 22 as well. And that's not even counting the defensive play we saw tonight that we're going to get into in the next segment. This is kind of concerning because if you look at where Jeff and Steve kind of had this big emphasis, right, on get through the gauntlet and get through this particular homestand because these matchups are favorable. These are the days when you can try to pick up some wins, gain some steam, and see if you can make a fight. They dropped the first opportunity. Now, granted, there are 6 straight games.
Yes.
So, by the way, Steve, do you put it on the hitting coach when they're hitting really well, like they were for 3 weeks going into today?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's tough. Now, the problem, too, you mentioned young team. They went through the gauntlet that they went through, and by all accounts, Saturday was an immensely winnable game. And then you run into the buzzsaw that was Wheeler.
Right.
That's fine. Trying to make his I guess, statement that he wanted to start the All-Star game, according to John Sadak, I think, over the weekend. But no, I hope they haven't eased up. You know what I mean? Like, they ran through the toughest part of that gauntlet. And even though the Marlins have been playing better baseball of late, it's possible that, maybe a young team just kind of, and they can see the All-Star break, whether you're playing in that game or not. The All-Star break actually is the time to recharge the batteries for the guys that aren't going to the All-Star game. You just hope they didn't kind of, go on vacation a little before. You've heard of that. Like, you book vacations. Folks sometimes maybe are out to lunch already before their vacation officially starts.
Senioritis, as some will refer to it.
Yeah,
man, I'm with you. And you mentioned, I'm actually really glad that L.A. De La Cruz is also not participating in the home run derby, so his All-Star game will be pretty easy as All-Star games go. But yeah, I think it's just kind of irritating because we've seen them be able to have these moments. Like, Stevenson has sacrificed fly today, so you obviously are happy about that. Here's what's frustrating about these last 3 days: the one run they've scored has been the first run in each of these games. They've had the lead in each of these games. And I don't blame pitching for this. I don't blame, well, maybe a little bit. I don't blame the starting pitching, I should say, in this, because all three days, you're pretty satisfied with what you got from those guys. Lodolo, Burns, and then tonight with Brady Singer. But they're just, it seems like, and the other thing that's really frustrating, they're not drawing a whole lot of walks right now.
That's true. It's funny. You can go back to April, probably mid to late April, and in all of May. There were times when this team would ebb and flow, and you would hear Gavin Lux or you'd hear someone else say, hey, we're really starting to put everything together. And it's even to the point where my 14-year-old son said to me earlier this evening, I'm so tired of hearing this all the time, because as soon as I hear that, they go on a little slide.
Yeah.
And it has. They did climb to 4 over 500 multiple times here in recent times, but earlier it was, that Mount 500 was the hard part, but it's true. Like, you can just see it. Like, every time they think, even the players themselves think they're getting it together, they just don't.
Yeah, I agree, man. So that's the conversation of the offense right now, and it's been very irritating, as we know. Thankfully, we do have a break coming up soon. And at least normally, Seth, we can hang our heads on the defense showing up and participating and keeping them in games. But tonight was not one of those nights. We're going to talk about that right after this. Ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. One thing that was really surprising for me when I started using Monarch Money was how much I was spending at Fanatics. I Love getting collectibles. I love baseball hats. I love jerseys. I love hoodies. I love signed baseballs. I love trading cards. You name it, I had to have it. And Monarch Money really made me open a lot of my eyes to, I got to get serious and crack down and make sure I get a little bit more picky and choosy with the items I order from Fanatics. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. Want to shout out all of my everydayers here on the postcast to spend some time with me here on Locked On Reds. As always, you can check me out after each and every Reds game and Jeff and Steve Monday through Friday. And while you're over there for your next listen to, be sure to check out Seth and the crew over at the Riverfront as they break down the Reds as well. You just don't have them as often as you have me and Jeff and Steve, and that might be a good thing. I don't know. Maybe you appreciate that more. Seth, let's talk about when this game kind of got out of control for the Reds.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
Okay, maybe I wouldn't say out of control. That's probably the wrong way to put it. But I think this game probably felt doomed when Will Benson's throw went home, and I thought he got the guy. I don't know. What did you think of it?
The Reds fan in me said yes. My son was going crazy. Even with HD video, sometimes it's hard to tell if was that finger right there. I can't say for sure. I think if it would have been called out and then the Marlins challenged, I don't think they would have changed the call then either. So I think that's how close it was.
That's fair. Yeah, I know. Like I said, maybe it's the Reds fan in me talking. But that was a good defensive play tonight. There were not good defensive plays for the Reds tonight, and there's one in particular that I don't know what happened. It looked like it would be a Yakety Sax theme, play the Benny Hill music over it, maybe, is what that looked like. Yeah, right. So for those who don't know what I'm talking about, there was a play in which a ball was hit sharply to third base, or the runner was breaking for home, and Noelvi Marte throws it way over Tyler Stevenson's head. Obviously, it leads to a Miami Marlins run. And who was it batting at the time? Was it Derek Hill? Yeah, it was Derek Hill was batting. And then when Tyler Stevenson fields the ball, he tries to throw Hill out at second to Matt McClain, and it goes in the shallow outfield. And Hill picks up third base, all at a play that didn't leave the infield.
Actually, it was Singer backing up Stevenson that made that throw. Okay. It was an E1 on the play. But yeah, you wonder, I'm not going to make excuses for Marte, but I did wonder if the throwing lane was a little blocked by the runner. But that was a contact play. We would have been complaining a year ago if David Bell had that on, and the Reds would have been thrown out by a mile, because he would have been out by a mile. I guess I'll let you go into more detail, but I kept thinking right then, like, CES is not the answer at third base. It doesn't seem like Marte has completely solved those throwing issues that they spent all offseason worrying about, and then Espinal can't hit the way they need him to, but yet gave them the most steady defense at third. So I'm not really sure what the answer is, Tim.
Yeah, and Spencer Steer's been way too good at first base to not be there consistently. So you can't throw that at me. I won't listen to it at this point.
I can't trust his arm yet either. I don't know what he really has there.
Yeah, and I don't want him playing left field ever again either. I'm fine with where he's been. But yeah, it's certainly a thing that's up in the air that they have to figure out. And I don't want to hear, well, just wait till Sal Stewart comes up, because that's just your typical Reds conversation. That's everything we hear every year. Well, when we get our guys, we're going to be fine. It's like, no, like, I love Sal Stewart. I'm excited about Sal Stewart. You cannot tell me that right now that's your answer. Like, I don't want to hear it. It's not that point. Like,
no.
It's different with Chase Burns. Like, Chase Burns, you were like, that guy had no need to play in the minor leagues anymore. Like, he was just, even with the Red Sox start, I am all for the fact he got called up. Sal Stewart still got some fine tuning to do, and that's okay. But yeah, the third base thing has to be figured out. Jason says right here, maybe trade for a third base with some power. I don't know what that market looks like right now. I would have to research, but if there is one out there that a team is willing to give up, yeah, I'll take him. I'll absolutely take him.
I guess when they have the needs they have in the outfield, and you obviously hope they shore up the bullpen a little bit. And beggars can't be choosers, but you'd probably look for a starter depth. I would look for all those things. You've got enough guys who can play third. And I guess even though what I just said is what I just said, I would probably stick Marte there, the rest of this week. Like into the All-Star break, let Marte start at third every day. That's honestly what I would probably do, because I think he needs to get the consistent playing time. And I don't think CES has shown that he can do it. And I think he's already had that chance more than Marte has this year. So
I think yesterday was probably the nail in the coffin on him
I
playing
think
third
so.
base. Yeah.
Yeah, third base especially. He can play DH, maybe a little bit of first base if Spencer's, got a day off or playing DH himself. But
Mhm.
I guess if it's me, I go ahead, and I know I'm not happy about this throwing error tonight, but you can't chuck a whole season or career for a guy just because he made one bad throw.
Right.
So even though it is what blew the game wide open.
Yeah, I agree. So you know what? We'll after this last thing at break here, we'll at least talk about Brady Singer before we get into Lyon Richardson, because I think Brady Singer is a pretty safe pick today for our locked on player of the game.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
So Seth, I feel like there really isn't another choice at this point but other than Brady Singer, because when he left the game, they had a chance to win. Did I think he was his sharpest tonight? No, but 5 innings, 2 earned runs, 3 strikeouts. Ball didn't leave the field when he was out there. Once again, another starter who gave the Reds a chance to win. They were within shouting range. And he had to take the loss tonight for a game that he really was probably the best player in the field for the Reds.
When I may have misspoke. It was Richardson that had the throwing error, not Singer. He was already out of the game. But the thing too was, I think Sadek, he was going through his details of what was happening at that point in the game up to that point. And the Reds had gotten a run and led 1-0 with 0 hits at that point. And yet at the same time, Singer had had a base runner in every inning, but was still walking that tightrope, getting the innings like he always does, and not really giving up much. And I think that's what Singer is. And to expect too much more, I guess, would be unfair. Like, to your point earlier, they can't score 1 run every night and expect to win.
Right.
And especially if it's Singer who's starting, because he came in with a 4.36 ERA, I believe, and that's fine. And he's doing exactly what you brought him in to do, right? I mean, that's fine. It's just that those games when they lost 1-0, or back in the earlier part of the year, or losing 3 in a row now with 1 run, you can't expect to win every game, or hardly any of those games.
Yeah, I agree with you. So Lyon Richardson once again came in a winnable game and made it not winnable. I don't know the nicest way to put it. And I don't understand why he's getting the opportunities he is. And you can't tell me at this point that it's, well, who else is going to get it? Graham Ashcraft's back. They're basically as relatively healthy as possible at the bullpen, minus Ian Jabot. And I wouldn't want Ian Jabot pitching in that situation either, because he's not shown worthy. Lyon Richardson now, in his last 7 appearances, has not even gone 7 innings, Seth. He also has a 12.15 ERA in that time frame. If you want to get worse on this, as you know I can, 9 earned runs, 4 walks, and a 1.95 whip. We've seen Terry Francona go this route on some guys that we go, okay, why is that guy getting these opportunities? Espinal batting second in the order, sure, was 1. I don't think Lyon Richardson right now needs to be on the Major League roster. I don't dislike him. I don't have issues with him. I feel like some of the situations he's been in are not necessarily his fault, but I don't think he's ready to be pitching the situation that Tito's been using him in of late.
I'd probably agree with that. Now, I will say one of those runs today was not earned. So he gave up 2. 1 wasn't earned. I think he showed flashes there when he first came right back up there a few weeks ago that maybe made Tito and Derek Johnson and everybody think, oh, we've got something here. But I also think that the fact that you've got Ashcraft back, right, and the way things are lining up, to me it looks more promising that in the long run you won't use Richardson in those spots. But I guess that proves to me that they really do need to go get at least 1 or 2 more guys, right? And I think any bullpen in any season is going to have attrition, and you're going to, especially late these past several years with all the ups and downs that the Dodgers do this so well. But at the end of the day, what's going to happen is you need to bring in guys who are ready to compete at the big league level, and guys that are, going well here toward the end of July. And that means Richardson wouldn't be here anymore. I agree.
Yeah. So now that we wrap this up, I have to make mention that I've now had 5 guests on the postcast, and the Reds are 1-4 in
Who had
those
to win?
games. Jeff Carr,
Okay.
the
Okay.
Sunday Tigers game.
Yeah, he kind of runs the show anyway, though. So
Right. Yeah. So we're gonna go and wrap this one up. As unfortunately, once again, the Reds are now losers for the 3rd straight night to the Miami Marlins, 5-1. The Marlins have 5 runs on 10 hits, no errors. The Red Legs 1 run on 3 hits, 2 errors. Your winning pitcher tonight is
sorry, Jake.
Jansen Junk. Your losing pitcher is Brady Singer, and Jonathan Bender picks up his 2nd save of the year. And the Reds are back at it tomorrow with a chance to, I don't know, maybe right the ship, because Nick Martinez does have a good history against the Miami Marlins in his career. He's 4-1 with a 130 in his career against the Marlins. He'll be taking the hill for the Reds this year, 6-8 with a 420. He'll be going against Yuri Perez, who's 1-2 with a 4.50 ERA. First pitch will be at 7:10 p.m. Eastern. Everyone, thank you so much for spending some time with me as I'll be here later on the show. Thank you so much to Seth for joining me. Like I said, once you're done listening to all the good Locked On shows, be sure to go swing to the Riverfront as well and check out Seth and the crew. They're doing a great job. I'm Tim Daniel. Everyone have a great evening and try to enjoy what's left of it. Hopefully tomorrow we're talking about ending the losing streak. Everyone, I'll see you soon.